guys? Welcome to the 20th episode of Buried in the Bones. Discomfort is a compass. It's your compass. It's a guide, something to help you along the way if you let it. So, it's pretty common, I feel like. And I think the inspiration behind this episode was a little bit of how I'm feeling at the moment. So, okay. What's going on? You're not lost. I'm not lost. I'm just absurdly comfortable. And it feels like everything to me is unclear. It feels like the direction, the future, of course. And I've talked about it. Complacency kills. And it always shows up as your friend. Complacency and comfort are related, and comfort numbs clarity. It's pretty simple. So, amidst my comfortableness, I've become uncomfortable, and what has happened is now it feels like it's pointing me in a direction. It's the compass, right? It's getting me to where I'm going. And so, if it hurts, maybe it's pointing to something that's a little bit more true. Someone said this, my buddy Chris, he just told me this. It was pretty interesting. He was like, oh, it's not unheard of for you to be rocking and rolling with the podcast, people coming in listening, and all of a sudden, like, a lot of shit happens, and you're absurdly busy and things are coming up in your life. It makes sense. Like, that is the direction you need to go. That's the discomfort, that's the compass onwards. And it's pretty funny. Culture tells us avoid pain and discomfort. Pursue ease. Everyone's looking for their oasis. I am too. I'm trying to build one outside my backyard. However, everything is supposed to be of peace, which is probably beyond the normal human experience. The truth is, I think, and based on what I've read and the people I've listened to and individuals I admire a lot, discomfort essentially provides you what is your map of meaning. It is the base of which you build your life and curate your life on. One of the folks that I've read who probably has the most inspirational story / book that I've read, Viktor Frankl, a Jewish psychiatrist, I believe, who was a person who was in Auschwitz, who was sent there with his wife, said things like, the idea of my wife still being alive was enough for me to get through and say onwards and carry on. But he also had this quote, and he said, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Culture says avoid pain, pursue ease. A man who went through hell and had the mindset, mentality, and fortitude to say onwards. This man said, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Complacency and comfort. It kills the direction you're going. It messes up your senses, clouds your clarity. However, just like in strength and fitness, discomfort, stress, and things that require a little bit of hardship not only provide adaptations that you can yield and progress on in life, they seem to provide you the directions and insights and nuance about where to go forward and how to do so. I kind of mentioned it, but that's me right now. The story that I have to tell is you're looking at it. Me, right now. I have been in strength conditioning for, I guess I started when I was 16 in fitness, I suppose. I started in 16. And I know it so well. And now I'm a man, and now I'm trying to find ways to get me out there, correct? Find ways to globally help people. Get the word out. Where's the moral confliction of do you take the red pill and do you get on social media and stare at yourself on a phone and record yourself and take 40 takes back to back to back until you get the exact angle you want that makes you look the best? And do I go out in public and record myself and do fake mannerisms in front of the camera and immediately turn them off to look at my phone to edit a page? That's not what I'm about. So what do I do? It's caused the overwhelming amount of potential in what I feel like I have to offer with my strength conditioning insight, my philosophical insight, if you will, my writing. It has caused me to go into what is a paralysis-like mindset. I just talked to Rich, actually, about it. But so much information coming in, so much information potentially to deliver, has caused my brain to go into freeze. Not fight, not flight. Just like, stop. Comfort numbs clarity. What's more comfortable? Sitting on my couch, scrolling my phone, and relentlessly just scrolling through TikTok and Instagram with zero productivity, motivation, and meaningful work. This past week I got to rebuild my deck. I built a deck this past week for my wife and I, and it was very rewarding. You got to build a fire pit, adhese it, chisel the stone the way I wanted to. Had our first fire in our backyard that we now own. Then all of a sudden I'm getting screws and I'm taking screws out of the door and screwing locks back in to make it perfect, you know. And it was a different form. I love physical labor and I love creating things. However, I know what I need to do is write for this. Work on the website. Check in with my online clients. Comfort doesn't have to be sitting on the couch. Comfort is what you are comfortable doing and things that can numb your clarity and kind of put a stop to what's important and just distract you, if you will. And I feel that. I went on the back porch just a moment ago. Talk about writing. Moments ago, I say hours ago. Sitting on the back porch, I'm like, damn, I don't know what to talk about. And I was sitting there drinking my coffee on the back porch that I just made. And I was like, oh shit. I know exactly what to do. I am looking for direction. And currently, right now, I am very comfortable on this back deck. Discomfort's going to reveal the direction you need to go. It does in fitness, it does in strength. Almost every single time you're in the gym, Almost every single time you do something that's disciplined, it helps you align with the person that you want to be. At least in my experience. Consider it like a guide and not a punishment. Jordan Peterson said this thing, and he was talking about like psychological depressive like health and tricks that you can do to help with things like post-traumatic stress disorder and we'll say flighty or freeze-like responses during psychological turmoil, maybe that's a good word. But one of the best tricks you can do is think about all the traumatic things in your life that happened and bring them to life. Maybe I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but put a name to it. Bring it up. The irony is, based on everything that I do in this, strength conditioning, physical training, psychological training, writing, creativity, all of it's training. Me and my buddy Christian, I remember being in college, we decided to change the landscape of our language when it came to like jiu-jitsu and strength training. We changed this idea of workout to training because training is more of the process and maybe not an endpoint. Training is the aspect of this lifelong journey of who and what I want to become. Learning. Not checking a box. We're done checking boxes. We do it all the time. That's life these days. Anybody can get a workout in. Even if you change the same activity of the workout, you go and walk for 15, 20 minutes on the treadmill. Change it. Change the language to I am training. I'm choosing to do this activity today because it's who I want to become. And I know that this is an investment in my health. Rather than, hey, I just got to get a 15-minute workout in. It's just what I do. The process of who you are becoming is uncomfortable. However, every time we do it, we're confronting what is discomfort. And so that is what the psychological benefit is that Jordan Peterson talked about. Ways to get over things that give you traumatic responses or very anxious-like responses. Bring the things to life. Put a name to it and choose your response. That's training. You're training how your brain responds to a stimulus. That stimulus being stress and trauma. But every time you do it, you condition yourself to be a little bit better at responding to it a certain way. Training is the same thing. You're confronting things that you're not good at, right? You're providing these stressors, and then you condition them to respond certain ways. Eventually you get what is adaptation. For the psychological aspect, you're getting what is a nervous system adaptation, a neural response. And if you've listened, it's all about movement. Physical suffering with purpose in mind, expanding your mind by exploring your body, and moving through resistance. It's a teacher. A global one. Something that teaches you to lean into resistance and to the things that provide us stress, leaning into discomfort, finding your compass, and that thing might point you a little bit closer to it, but you might find that on the other end of what that direction gives you is a piece of yourself. That's it. This is another Viktor Frankl thing, but this was a good question. And consider this. Why don't we not ask, what do I want from life? However, ask this. What does life want from me? Viktor Frankl. Don't ask, what do I want from life? And consider asking, what does life want from me? In the world of strength conditioning, it looks like lifting heavier, trying harder, walking more, being more active. Why? Because I want to spend more time with my grandkids. I want to do cooler things with my kids. I want to do cooler things with my friends. I want to be alive longer for this person. I want to be strong enough to build my back deck. I want to be healthy enough to climb a mountain. All of these things. Relationally, looks like, okay, life is asking me, or life wants me to be a better husband, listen more, feel deeper, apologize. Maybe in the form of leadership, speaking louder. Say what you mean what you say, just don't say it mean. Articulation, writing, convincing. And you can add the Carl Jung aspect of this as well, but every time you avoid discomfort, discomfort looks like avoiding, or comfortableness, it looks like avoiding the shadow, the things you don't like about yourself. It's really easy to never admit or look at the things that you don't love about yourself. Maybe you have anger issues and you refuse to admit it. It's comfortable. It's easy. It's easier that way to not check myself. Maybe you are lonely and you choose to hang out with people that you don't necessarily agree with, but you sacrifice a moral compass for the sake of being a part of something. Maybe you're just scared to admit or look behind you and be like, this is what I need. I actually need love. And I need some confidence. Some self-assurance, maybe. Avoiding the shadow only feeds it. It only makes it stronger. The shadow being the parts of yourself that are left unchecked. The parts of yourself that you refuse to look at. Movement is your shadow work. That's how you deal with discomfort. You lean into it. Exercise the things you fear, the psychological aspect of PTSD. Next time you're in a conversation with someone you're in a relationship with, bring it to light. Bring it in consciousness that, oh, okay, this is a little stressful. Here's how I should react, because this is how I usually do, and I would like to do this instead, because why? This is what life wants from me. When I start making those decisions, I probably get what I want from life. The quality or your beauty will be uncovered by the quality of your efforts. All-encompassing, strength conditioning and fitness and nutrition. You'll look as beautiful as ever. You'll feel better. Your energy will carry over into acts of service for others. Every time you check yourself and maybe you confront your shadow of like, I know what you need. You're looking for some attention and some reassurance, but you do it in this way and act like a victim, if you will, and you're not going about it the right way. I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna refocus my efforts on providing the quality of love that this person deserves. And because of that, I get to give them what I feel I did not receive. And that, inevitably, Occam's razor fills my cup. Because I know what it's like to not get what I want in that situation. Thus, I will take that, I will own that, and I will deliver it to the other person instead. Knowing that, I know I did an act of service. I confronted my shadow, and through that discomfort and that trauma and that stressor, I managed to come out a little bit closer to myself. The compass usually points you in the direction of what is an uncomfortable decision. We've probably all seen that mine, but it's the guy. There's two. You got the guy digging for diamonds. One guy's like super close but stopped. The other guy's ends up with the diamonds because he kept on digging. That seems to just be the lesson of endurance. And you have to accept that maybe one day you're in an argument and you're aware of certain ways you react, and maybe you just don't fix it that time. That doesn't mean give up. You just brought the unconscious conscious, and now you get to condition yourself and figure out how to make that good decision in the end. We're all looking for clarity. And we're all looking for what life wants from us. Clarity doesn't necessarily come from making what we believe to be the right decision. It just comes from what seems to be doing the harder thing. The harder thing is nuanced, because that doesn't mean the thing that fills my ego. Building a deck by yourself, it certainly filled my ego. Doing the hard thing looks usually like confronting your shadow and putting yourself in the room and having a little bit of humility. It seems like discomfort sharpens identity. Making those decisions. Making those decisions for others, thus getting a little bit closer to yourself. In strength conditioning, if you want to know the function of your shoulder, we do what is a standing or controlled articular rotation theoretically for your shoulder. And you get to discover the function and the health of your shoulder, your true shoulder. What your brain can control within that capsule. What function of it provides discomfort. And usually, when you get into that shoulder car, usually people with internal rotation issues going towards the back side, they discover that it's painful. There's your compass. It's pointing you, okay, we need to work on internal rotation of that shoulder. Typically, for those who are inexperienced or fear-mongers, they would tell you to avoid it. Every quality professional I know would find that as a room or reason to thus find more reasons to do internally rotated exercises. Condition it, make it stronger. It needs to be stronger. When people go towards it and they work on that IR, their shoulder's healthier in the end. They're putting up bigger numbers. They're healthier, pain-free. The people who avoid it are also the same people 20, 30 years from now who tell you, ooh, I can't do that because my shoulder hurts. If you would have taken 6 months 20 years ago to just put your ego aside and fix the fucking thing, you wouldn't have this issue. Same thing with you. If you want to know who you are, and if you want to know what life wants from you, that hard conversation you're avoiding, that is your shoulder internal rotation, right? Some people will avoid it, thus causing more issues down the road. Some people will button themselves up. They'll take a step forward. They'll be uncomfortable. They'll be anxious. Their hands will be sweaty. Their hands will be shaken. Voice shaky. But they'll have the hard conversation. Then they get one hard conversation under their belt. They realize maybe they didn't like how shaky their voice was. Maybe they realize they don't really care about how people think of them. Maybe they realize they care too much. Now they have something to work on. That's improvement. That's a little bit closer to yourself. Discomfort is your compass. I thought that was so good. And it's really hard to explain. On social media, I think we'll see people at the peak end of discomfort. We'll see the David Goggins of the world. Though I don't doubt he's helped people. I think that is the top tier maximum line of discomfort. I don't think you need to suffer to a point that you need to brag about it. I don't think that's what Frankl was talking about. He also did warn us about, and this is really interesting in the social media world because I think vanity is so absurdly in our faces, with people staring at themselves and fixing their hair for a specific camera angle, and then they're getting their relationship partners to take pictures of them and in front of these statues, and vanity, man. But Viktor Frankl, I remember clearly, warning us about masochism and those hiding kind of behind this virtue signal / pedestal of virtue, and hiding what is just a little bit of masochism, and delivering that as the answer. Look at what I can do. This is what I do for 20 hours a day. I suffer. If you're not doing it, you're a bitch. It's probably not the answer. I think discomfort, for the most part, strength training in general for 99% of the population is uncomfortable enough. I think it's the inconsistent part that people don't get. They're just too inconsistent with it. I think people try to do too many things at one time. They're worried about not being able to do a certain thing, or they try to jump from one task to the other without completing the other one. They're not confident in the endurance and getting through what is maybe a training program, maybe a book, FOMO. Most of what is uncomfortable seems to yield the best results. That's relationally, that's professionally, studying, reading, going to those weekend seminars if you're a strength conditioning coach, spiritually, looking at the shadow, physically training. It's all there. And that's I think, in my opinion, one of the most fundamental truths is that when you give in to your vices, and when you choose to not confront them, or when you look the other direction, when you know that this particular thing is something you struggle with and you discredit it and look elsewhere, the comfortable decision is not the one that gets me a little bit closer to myself. It doesn't point me in the direction I'm going. And if we're asking the question, once again, instead of asking, what do I want from life? Consider asking, what does this life want from me? Lift heavier, speak louder, speak more articulate, feel a little bit deeper, read more, love more. Maybe we just be a little bit less selfish, and that's probably the most uncomfortable decision we have. Let's get off the TikTok. Let's stop scrolling. Let's move more for the sake of being healthier. And then when we're healthier, we have the capacity probably to make better decisions because our physiology, our chemistry, everything's cruising, dialed in. I can do more projects at the house. I can go do activities with my friends. I have the capacity to listen more. Move a little bit. Disrupt the pattern of comfort. So I got a few questions for you guys. Where in your life are you avoiding discomfort? Relationally, you find yourself arguing, snapping for a certain reason. Professionally, are you avoiding hard conversations? When's the last time you read something on your own and studied? Physically, like strength training wise, are you really trying? Are you showing up at least 3 days a week? Are you moving at least 7? So every day? Question 2. What truth are you scared to face? Maybe more so, what part of your shadow are you avoiding? Because the truth is, that's probably the most uncomfortable thing that we'll have to deal with. Because the thing we struggle with the most, and the thing that the world does not want you to do, is learn the lesson of acceptance. In order to proceed, I need to accept that this is the situation. I need to accept that I'm an addict. I need to accept that I'm an asshole. Then, after a little bit of humility, now I fix it. All right, I'm an asshole when I do this. All right, I'm an addict when this pops up. How do I fix it? All right, bringing the unconscious conscious, I've now created what is awareness. And now because of that awareness, then there's a new space that happens right after it where I get the choice to respond and fix it. This person has slapped me in the face. Whoop. I know when people slap me in the face, I punch them back. This time, this person slaps me in the face and I have the brief moment of time where I get to decide to do the other thing. Walk away. Question 3. What physical practice could help you confront it? When I need to think, I go outside and I run. When I am being lazy and I am avoiding true discomfort, I usually strength training. And what I mean by that is, it seems like when I'm the laziest around the house, I am also like not doing my strength work. When I feel the most in a bind, I do mobility and stretching. When I feel wound up here, I can unwind myself everywhere else. The pressure release. What physical practice can help you confront your discomfort? That could be jiu-jitsu. That could be going to a yoga class to create a community. That could be going to work because of our finances, right? You're very uncomfortable financially. Maybe you go find more work. And ask yourself this. What is it that this life wants from me? What is it that this life wants from me? My assumption would be it's not being complacent and just sticking to what is comfort. We always need expansion because we always need a little bit more life. We need curiosity. And if we lose curiosity, we lose a little bit of our soul. This was episode 20. Discomfort is your compass of the Buried in the Bones podcast. I like that. When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. So what is it that this life wants from you? See ya.